So, um, a lot of people have been outraged about Michelle Wolf and what she said about uh, Trump and his cabinet members and whatnot. And she's way worse than Trump, um, or anybody, any Republican or conservative or anybody in the Trump cabinet. She's worse than Trump, not being religious, misquoting the Bible, and making fun of Mike Pence for being religious. She's worse than Trump talking about his dick size. She's worse than Trump not showing his taxes. She's worse than Trump scamming people with Trump University. As you can see, I've listed how she's worse. So just let me continue, and I'll give you my conclusion why she's worse than Trump. She's worse than Trump wanting to take away people's health care and Social Security. She's worse than Trump wanting to be a dictator. She's worse than Trump allegedly being a traitor. Allegedly. Worse than Trump calling Mexicans rapists and terrorists. Worse than Trump calling Colin Kaepernick a son of a bitch. Worse than Trump being an obvious racist. Worse than Trump being a sexist and a misogynist. Worse than Trump calling certain countries shithole countries. Worse than Trump having sympathy for neo-Nazis. She's worse than Trump, who supported a pedophile, child sex predator, also known as Ray Moore. She's worse than Trump allegedly raping his ex-wife. She's worse than Trump talking about having sex with his own daughter. Worse than Trump hitting on married women and trying to fuck them with his wife in the house or at random parties. Worse than Trump admitting to grabbing women by the pussy. Worse than Trump worse than Trump talking about barging in on naked pageant contestants because he's the owner, so he can do that. Worse than Trump calling women things like fat pigs, ugly, dogs, or bimbos. Worse than Trump saying that Mika Brzezinski was bleeding badly from a facelift. Worse than Trump saying that Megyn Kelly was bleeding from wherever. Worse than Trump making fun of Ted Cruz's wife. Or, saying his dad was a killer. Worse than Trump cheating on just about all his wives. Worse than Trump cheating on Melania while she was pregnant with 1, 2, or maybe more porn stars. Worse than Trump allegedly paying for one of his lovers to have an abortion. Worse than Trump inspiring countless acts of violence. Worse than Trump saying that the Central Park Five should get the death penalty even though they were proven innocent. Worse than Trump antagonizing a Gold Star family. Worse than Trump allegedly lying about bone spurs to avoid the draft. Worse than Trump saying that going to sex parties and avoiding STDs was his own version of Vietnam. Worse than Trump talking about John McCain and saying how John McCain is not a hero, and because he prefers people who weren't captured. Worse than Trump claiming that he supports veterans, but never actually shows it. Now, why do I say she's worse than Trump? Well, it's easy. She's not a Republican, and therefore, just like it's considered racist and for it to be hate speech for a white person to call a black person the N-word, it is hate speech and racist. When a liberal, progressive, or Democrat says anything, even slightly negative, about a Republican or conservative, it's white on white hate crime. So that's why Michelle Wolf is worse than Donald Trump.